Let's talk about this fight card coming up, some current events, so we could throw some cool little videos out there. So Adesanya versus Whittaker. What do you got? How do you break that one down?
Man, it's tough. Here's the deal. Everyone talks about the improvements that Whittaker has made, which I totally agree. He's looked fantastic.
Amazing. In that Gaslam fight, he looked unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And what was it, the Cannonier fight too?
Yep.
He just looks fantastic. Even if, I hate to say this because I like Whittaker so much, but even if he's improved 30%, which would be a huge jump, at this level of the game, I still don't know. I still don't think he's good enough to beat Izzy on his feet. Izzy's so tough to get to, and Whittaker's not that type of wrestler that's just going to be able to kind of power through and explode into some hips and again, like I've said it 100 times, like I think you're a really tough matchup for Izzy. Like even if you're having problems on your feet, like if you touch him, you're going to pull your way into something, and then you start getting control of the body or leg or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a high level wrestler, I think that's the kind of fighter that's going to give Israel Adesanya problems. It's just unless you're that who's that goddamn that middleweight that's with Glover that knocked Izzy out in Glory.
He knocked out he Brazilian dude.
Yeah.
Pereira son.
Pereira. So he's he's probably the only guy that's going to be able to be like toe to toe, tit for tat. Like let's play this technical game of darts with Izzy, because he just understands that style and range and whatever, and he's got the power clearly. So you're gonna have to switch it up with Adesanya. You gotta mix the striking and the wrestling and all that stuff together and blend it really well.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he does blend well. I just don't know if his wrestling game is good enough to really threaten Izzy for very long. And I don't know if he's good enough to take round like Blachowicz. Blachowicz did a good job in those first 3 rounds of not attacking the takedown right away. He's by no means like a high level wrestler. He's really good black belt and like really good top pressure. But I think the wrestling piece is where he lacks a little bit. But he was able to take at least 1 round off of Izzy in those first 3. He was able to keep it close enough, just by a couple points, a couple shots, was able to take 1 round in the first 3. And then by that time, he was able to get the takedown in those last 2 rounds and kind of wear him out and just be heavy. I just don't know if Whittaker's body style in size and strength are going to allow him to do something like, can he take 1 round out of the first 3? I don't know. Can he stay safe? For sure.
Do you look at the Kelvin Gastelum fight as anything, as a comparison with those two? Because they both fought Kelvin Gastelum and obviously Adesanya, it was a way tougher fight for him than when Whittaker, but it was different times in Gastelum's career, different confidence levels. And so what do you think of those fights, or you don't even look at that?
I look at it as far as Adesanya goes. I think that it definitely shows that he can fight when he has to. Every once in a while,
he showed toughness and heart for sure.
Every once in a while, a fist fight breaks out in an MMA match, and that was kind of one of those times. So he's got that in him. But it also showed me that you can draw Izzy out of being so pretty. If you're just a little bit meaner than he is. Sometimes Whittaker wants to be a little too pretty. And I think if he wants to draw that out of Izzy, he's going to have to just kind of set some of that prettiness aside and then just kind of make it a dogfight in some of those situations. And I think you can draw Izzy into that.
But I do think that's kind of the way in their first fight. I felt like he tried that and it did not go well. He tried to spaz out of control, right? He tried to throw huge haymakers and he looked so uncomfortable. I think he tried to make it dirty. But I think he is that pretty fighter.
I think he tried to make it dirty as a pretty fighter, though. Like Gastelum kind of just walked into range and got real close and just kind of dirty boxed and pulled on his head and went to his body and hit him on the break. And, but he stayed safe on the outside and then kind of opened up once he was inside. Yeah. Whittaker kind of blitzed from the outside, it's like he just threw these big haymakers on his way in. I think if he works his way in safely and then kind of spazzes out a little bit, I think that's how I would do it. If I was fighting Adesanya, even as a taller, rangier guy compared to those guys, body style wise, Izzy and I are very similar. He's just skinnier than I am.
Yeah.
Even being similar body style to him, I would still fight him on the inside. Would just hands tight, bite down on your goddamn mouthpiece and take a deep step inside and just make it ugly and just dirty box him, lots of uppercuts and body shots and grab him, pulling his head and just be mean and frustrating.
How much does Whittaker hesitate on that after being knocked out the way he did though with that hook?
A lot,
because that's the inside. He got to where he wanted to, right? And then he got hit with a shot that, he'll never forget,
Yeah, and that's the thing, is his mindset. Is he in a place that he's still willing to do that?
Yeah.
My guess would be no, because he's smarter than you and I are.
That's
what we would do, but
yeah,
he's smarter than we are. But
yeah.
I would guess he's gonna just try to play that. He's gonna play the long game. Like that's the kind of two directions, in my opinion. I think you have to go. You gotta kind of make it ugly, get inside and make it nasty, or you gotta be super, super safe and technical on the outside and just play that 5-round, 25-minute. Let's hope I can stay just one step ahead kind of game.
Yeah. I looking at their last couple of fights, I think I was going with Whittaker 100%, just based on the improvement level. I think he's looked so much better in the last couple of fights when you compare it to Izzy. I think Izzy hasn't looked like he's improved a lot in this last year in those last two fights. But so I was thinking, I think Whittaker's going to take this. This chip has been on his shoulder a long time since he lost the first time. He had to deal with Israel Adesanya kind of showing off and talking a little trash. And Whittaker's such a good dude. He just kind of keeps it in. And, it's just another fight. It's just another fight. But at the end of the day, that chip is on his shoulder and he wants to prove. You got the whole Australia thing. There's so much pressure. He fought really bad in that last fight, in my opinion. He just it wasn't his best performance and, he paid for it. But I saw Israel Adesanya on the embedded, and he really is impressing me with his mindset heading into this fight. He when you're the champ and, and you've had some fights that people are, criticizing, like his last two fights, you have the usual defense mechanism is to be like, I'm fighting the best guys in the world and I dominated them. And Blachowicz was just bigger and that was a side thing and whatever, it doesn't matter. But he's like, I haven't looked good in these last two fights. I've been lackluster.
He accepts the criticism.
He admitted it. And he's like, I wasn't that good, which tells me he's working super hard to get even better every day. And so I think we're going to have a crazy fight. I think it's going to be a great fight with two guys with huge chips on their shoulder that really want to win. And I'm with you. I love Whittaker as a person. That's my guy. But it's going to be a tough one. I do think it's possible for him to win, just like any fight. But I do think he can win with, not that he's going to. I don't think he has the body type, and he doesn't have the wrestling to take him down and do a Blachowicz and hold him, for 5 rounds, definitely. But I think he could win some rounds with an additional takedown. Israel does have tendencies of being a little reserved and not throwing that much. And if he could kind of get him into that type of fight where it's like a point fighting type fight and then score a takedown kind of towards the end, even if he's losing on the feet, just to add that in.
Right.
When a couple rounds like that, land some big shots here and there, he can win, he can win the fight. But
I think it's going to be competitive. Like, I don't think we see a blowout like we did in the first one. I think that was just I think Whittaker had the worst day of his life, and I don't know if
the pressure got to him this. That was a lot of pressure in Australia fighting.
There's a lot of hype behind Israel too. He was kind of the boogeyman. It was like the unbeatable. Then you seen Brunson go in there and trying to wrestle with him, and he got smoked. And it just, I think it was just a kind of a tornado of things coming into that fight. And now Whittaker's been in there. He worked it out in his head. I think it's going to be super competitive.